Hello, everyone. I'm Finnian and Kelly, the creator of Intentionality, and I'm really looking forward to starting this new series where we're showcasing incredible people in our path of community, people who are really living their path. They're on their path of intentionality, but also helping others find their path. And this morning, I'm joined by an incredible friend, incredible entrepreneur, incredible person, Natalya, who I was lucky to meet in Machu Picchu. I think it was like nearly 4 years ago now, where I was on a leadership retreat with EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, and we got to go to Machu Picchu, which was just incredible. And we spent a week learning about how to be better leaders, connecting with each other. And we've created this incredible bondship between all the participants. And Natalya has been someone who I've been a close friend with, but then following her work, and I'm just always just going, wow, she's speaking our language and she's doing incredible work. And as people know me, I love collaborating with people. The whole thing about what we're doing is just trying to make more people live with more intention, live better lives. And anyone who's doing that, they're my friend and my partner. So welcome, Natalya.
Thank you.
As you'll see, she has a little accent. She is originally from Russia. She's more of a global citizen than me. I don't know where you are right now. Where are you?
Barcelona.
Amazing. A great place. And perhaps you could just start. So one of our principles of intentionality is experience exponential outcomes by leveraging energy over time. And your whole brand is all about energy management. So you just want to introduce us about what energy management means to you and why it's so important.
Sure. Well, what can you do without having energy to start with? You tell me. What is energy to you? And you have it part of your principles. Well done, by the way. So, energy flows where attention or intention goes, right? So can't do anything without energy. This is affecting so much how we experience life, how we're showing up, our ability to lead, perform. Everything depends on our energy. And by energy management, basically, we help people to understand and manage their own energy and actually of other people as well. The energy that is behind or at the core of their thoughts, emotions, and actions. Call it, if you wake up with bad negative thoughts, how is that affecting your day? It's just a simple example. So basically, it affects everything. And the question is, do we want to be at cause or effect? Do we want to be affected by situations, people, our thoughts and everything and be at the effect of it? Or do we want to have the choice and manage it and have a different life full of joy, passion, flow, productivity, connection, and all that other great stuff?
So when I'm thinking about change, I'm often thinking about the first step is awareness. You've got to bring awareness to it. So how do you bring awareness to how people's energy is flowing and how people's energy are managing? Do you have any interesting techniques or tools to be able to help people do that?
Certainly. I mean, it's key. Everything starts with awareness. We might think, well, we know what's going on, but it might be pretty limited to our upbringing, the society, those expectations, the fears, the limiting beliefs. And you talk a lot about it. All of that baggage that we have and all that conditioning and domestication, everything that affects our energy and that affects our choices, and if it affects the result as well. So expanding our awareness, meaning understanding what reality really is, getting rid of those limiting beliefs, the fears, draining down, peeling the onion. What is behind those fears? What is behind those limiting beliefs? Are they limiting or are they actually serving us? And you talk a lot about creating your own rules as well. That's part of the practice too. Are those limiting beliefs and the rules that you use to helping and serving you to move forward to the life of your dream and your creation? No. Well, then why are we dragging all that stuff with us? What do you want to put on your backpack if you go up to Machu Picchu? Same thing with life. Right.
I like that a lot. I do a guided breath work where we always talk about going down into the Grand Canyon, picking up the backpack of baggage and then bringing it back out. And so I like that little connection that you just brought about Machu Picchu as well. I might do that in the next visualization. It'd be really fun. What do you see the biggest leaking parts of energy for people? Like where are just the easy ones? If people just like protected this part of themselves, they would have higher energy.
Well, funny thing you said, and you mentioned breath work. While working with entrepreneurs and leaders, the most important thing they need to do and they forget to do in the times of stress and anxiety is breathing. And such an important thing. It's the first thing we do when we're born. It's the last thing we do in life. And yet it's one thing that we forget. And it adds so much relief. I mean, clarity, the physical body state, the alignment, the body and the mind. Yeah, it's incredible. It's such a great and simple tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about energy, there's so many things that influence, right? So the physical influence have, do we have the right nutrition, sleep, breathing, how is the body feeling? Okay, are we injured or not? Do we work out and all that stuff? The spiritual influence, and we talk a lot about values and purpose, that intentionality, the belief systems. If we work with people that are not in line with our values, that is draining us. And we think, well, no, we're going to have to push through. We need to tolerate. We're going to make it work. But all of that is actually draining our energy rather than helping us to move forward on that in a very engaged way. The mental influences that are affecting our energy. Do we have the task and the project that we are excited about in the sense? Do we intellectually grasp it? Is it too difficult, too complicated? Is it too boring or too fun or whatever? That kind of stuff as well affects us. Environmental, we've been sitting at home working from offices. Do we have the right setting? Do we have enough light? How warm it is? Do we have the plants that sort of bring the most optimal state in us? All of that thing, the social influencer, the people that we communicate with, the like-minded people. EO is a great example. I mean, for me, it was the blast the last 6 years being part of it. And that all of these things that either optimize our systems and our energy or they drain it. And we can say, well, I have done this before. Why can't I be doing this? Why am I'm not productive? Something might be off. But if we ignore the way we feel and what our body signals are, so going back to the physical and the breathing, if we ignore that and still think that we should be performing, and then we start judging ourselves, by judgment itself would bring the energy down. So none of this works. So there are lots of little things that people can do, starting with looking at those influences and optimizing them in order to shift their energy. And the same for other people.
Yeah, imagine if leaders started seeing on their expense line, because we always focus on expenses as leaders, and it's like, oh, this is an expense for this office. But the expense that isn't there, which actually is our biggest expense, is the energy of our team. And if we actually saw the energy inefficiency there, it'd be very different. And I'd love leaders to start thinking about, rather than thinking like culture, because culture is very arbitrary, really what it's about is energy. How's the energy of your team? That's really what culture is. And suddenly they might be starting to invest a lot more in mental health exercises, taking days off, looking at like how to actually get them into the right belief set. And suddenly, I imagine you've probably done it with a lot of leadership teams where everything just starts performing so much better.
Certainly. And you mentioned the mindset. We go through 7 levels of energy, call it a consciousness, a leadership ability, 7 perspectives. Basically, the higher you go, the higher you resonate, the further you see, the more capacity you have, productivity and all that great stuff. So we walk people through the place they might find themselves being the victim at the effect of their own thoughts and people and circumstances, feeling helpless and stuck and overwhelmed. or in a fighting antagonism state with a lot of competition, blaming others, etc. And we walk them through rationalizing, taking the responsibility for own actions and thoughts, going into the helper mode with the empathy and compassion for considering other people, going into the state of collaboration, where it's all about opportunities, win-wins, learning, looking at solutions rather than seeing problems, and getting to the connection state, connection with self, with others, that synergy, the flow, that creativity, and a place of total experiencing life without judging it. So you're really moving from being stuck and the doing to the being, from the lack to abundance, from the weak ego to consciousness and ego transcendence, and from struggle to effortless flow. So who wouldn't want to be there? You can lead organizations in your own life from a different energy state, which is so much easier and better, again, a judgment, but much more enjoyable.
Well, it's more enjoyable. That's the key. And it's nicer for other people. This is what people don't realize, is that our energy is interacting with other people's energy all day long. And I always just go, are you being an energy giver or an energy taker? Like, are you uplifting people, or are you bringing them down? And when you just like to be an uplifter, that's certainly, it is for me. That's how I look at it.
Totally. You can be,
Yeah. So I like seeing little comments that you make, which connect to certain principles. So we have a principle number 5, which is feel fulfilled by prioritizing desired feelings over outcomes. And you've made a comment somewhere where I wrote that it says the trick is to set the right goals. So can you tell me about what are the right goals and what's your process of helping people do that?
So people get quite anxious about setting the right goals and achieving those goals, especially, and then they start judging themselves, they're not productive, or there's something standing in the way, etc. Well, if we set the right kind of goal, starting with the energy that's behind that goal, what are we really after? Is this the $1 million that we are after? Or is it the feeling that I will have after I reach it, which would be the sense of fulfillment, the sense of freedom, joy, etc., etc. So as an example, and then the timeline, what is the deadline? It's in a year. Are you really willing to wait for a year to feel a sense of joy, freedom, etc., etc.? Or can we do it starting tomorrow with slightly different goal? So basically, the real goal is the feeling, and the goal that we initially thought is the goal is the strategy, how to get there. And so the energy in it is very different. It's much more engaging, it's much more uplifting, you're much more connected to it. You can start right away.
Yeah, that's the key. We're not waiting for this time in the future to feel a particular way. It's like we can do it right now. And it's that idea of the path of intentionality, is that you could be feeling a 10 out of 10 on your path. It doesn't mean you're not wanting more and you're not going to achieve more. It's just that you're on track. You're on the path, and it will eventually get there when you just keep doing these daily actions. So I really love that.
And this whole thing, with the performance and KPIs and ticking the boxes, we are so becoming more stressed, and that adds to anxiety and whatnot and lowers the energy in this kind of mindset. If we were to go for continuous improvement, mastery mindset, so it's all about the little steps that get us towards that direction, we know we're going there, but our energy with that is so much higher than, okay, those are the things I have to do, and if I don't do them, I'm not good enough. And that judgment itself lowers our energy. So no attachment to the outcome doesn't mean that you don't have the direction, but you have so much more to see than just that outcome. That actually narrows your outcomes.
Definitely. And
funny enough,
I like to think of it right now, it's about like mastering your craft. It's getting better just for the pleasure of it. And it's not because you want to be the best speaker in the world. It's you just like focusing on, I just want to keep improving my craft of being a speaker and improving that process and enjoying it. And that's definitely where I am at right now, which is different from where I've approached in the past. And it's very liberating, because suddenly the pressure's off. It's just like, what can I do today?
Exactly. Yeah.
So another comment you wrote, which connects to intentionality principle number 2, which is discover your true nature by practicing the power of presence. So you wrote something, but only by being present here and now, you can actually change something, change your life, and get what you aspire for in the future. Do you want to expand on that a little bit? And there was a little bit of a longer comment, but it's all about being in the present.
Being in the present, it's only being in the present that takes your mind off the past, where you have the guilt and all that draining energy stuff, or the future with the worries and the fears and the anxieties. Because we have 100% energy, and if half of that energy, if not more, we're spending in the negative spiral and thinking and all of that, it doesn't help to our productivity. So being present in the moment has so much potential. That's the place we get in the flow, that state where basically time ceases existence, and something you might be working on for hours with half mind and creativity present, you can do in 5 minutes, or basically don't notice the time and the genius comes out in you. That's the place in the flow, and it only happens in the present. It's in the present moment that you can actually be authentic and yourself, which is taking the burden of being someone else. And it's also very liberating, and we're all about looking for freedom here. And it's only in the present moment that you have the access to your full potential and capacity, that creativity. So why would you be anywhere else?
So it's interesting. A lot of entrepreneurs they pride themselves. They even have a name, visionary. So the actual visionaries, they're in the future, and they say, no, I live in the future, and they take pride about that. What do you say to people who say that?
Maybe this is the limiting belief that comes with, and that's how they see it. You can be a visionary and a creator, which is that level 6 and 7 energy, but still being in the present, because it's in the present that you come up with that super duper vision and those aha moments. Doesn't mean that you don't have a certain plan to go towards that vision. It's there, just like we were talking about the mastery minds and continuous improvement. You do need a direction, but that doesn't mean that you're living in the future, because it's only now that we can actually make the steps towards that future.
It's very subtle, isn't it? There's a slight line between vision and fantasy. Like vision is you're in the present moment and you're actually creating, and then you let it go and you surrender and you go back to the present moment, where some people escape from the present moment by living in fantasy. And that's not actually visionary. That's escaping from the present moment.
Exactly. It's only in the present moment we can change the future. So, the future can be anything depending on what you do right now. So it's good to have the vision, and that vision comes up from that flow genius state of being present in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Love that. So remember, be in the present moment. Everything happens here. It's the magical place. So the final thing I want to talk about is a little bit about what we do with Financially Happy. And I've seen you make comments about people's relation to goals, and a lot of it's about wealth. Can you just expand where people go wrong with setting financial goals or their relationship with money?
The question. And by the way, I love your nano learning program for EO. So if you guys are in EO, you know what to tap to. So yeah, it's that mindset going from scarcity to abundance, because it's there. And there's so many people that, while having the means, don't think it's enough, and actually not living in the present moment, enjoying what they have and seeing what else they can do. It's like, for instance, it's really the mindset. I haven't had any financial trouble, I would say, or whatever you want to call it, just simply because I didn't think of it that way. It's really coming from that place of abundance, and abundance lives at that higher energy states, not from the fears and the need to have and possess and grab and lack of confidence and judgment. Well, we're judging the situation, we're judging ourselves, we're judging it's not enough, we're judging what if something happens, I'm screwed because I don't have $1 million or 100,000 on my bank account. And while we're thinking like that, that energy drops right down. And trust, we're not going to have those creative moments of creating that money in the first place, because we already put ourselves down to even thinking of the possibilities. So it's kind of like energy attracts like energy. So it starts with the thoughts. And so I explained there are two types of energy, catabolic and anabolic, as literally physics, and Einstein backed it all up. So we have anabolic energy, that when those hormones are created, the endorphins and dopamines, they are optimizing our systems. It's where those positive thoughts and positive feelings and positive actions are living. And then there's a catabolic energy, which is unintentional, so the opposite, disruptive, and it's the opposite of healing energy, of anabolic energy. And so if you stay too long in that negative catabolic energy, you actually feel drained, and your body also feels it, and hence those diseases and things happen as well. So too long in that state, you don't want to be. And the opposite, the anabolic, is more constructive, intentional, healing energy. So whether it is by having positive thoughts and actions that you create that energy, it's basically physics. So it's hormones. You either have adrenaline and cortisol that push through the stress, but it's not sustainable, or you have endorphins and dopamines that really optimize our systems and expand our energy and whatever comes with it as well.
So if you find yourself in that state, what are just some techniques to be able to get there? I know you've mentioned breath would be one, but what are other ways to get there?
So it's by increasing practices like the gratitude, thinking of others, doing things that you're passionate about, that give you energy. And then we're working on the physical, whether it's sleeping enough, doing something that nurtures your body and your mind and your soul, whether it's yoga, breathing, sport, etc. Creating the environment. Remember the influences I was talking about at the beginning, the environmental influences, the social, mental, emotional, spiritual, and all of that. So kind of combination of everything. No judgment, no attachment to the outcome, all this kind of stuff.
They're not complicated things, and they don't take that
No.
much time, but they can dramatically increase your energy. So I always just say, it goes back to that old Zen proverb: if you don't have time to meditate for 1 hour, you need to meditate for 2. And this is what energy management is really all about. It's these little daily activities which can really add up and transform your life. And you can't afford not to. As you've just seen from what Natalya shared, is that this is having a great impact on your life, on your creativity and your happiness, on your productivity. Every buzzword you could relate back to energy. So
totally, yeah.
We just need to make it a priority, don't we?
Yeah, and health comes with it, money comes from it, satisfaction and fulfillment and all of that stuff that we're ultimately after. So yeah, manage your energy, understand it and manage it.
And that's a perfect place to finish, I think. Understand and manage. Well, Natalya, I've had so much fun with you today. If you have any questions, please comment. Natalya will be here and be able to engage afterwards. What's the best place to find you, Natalya?
All kind of social media by Natalya Verdikan, and then lifebydesign-academy.com. There's my email. Connect, follow, ask questions. We're here to support, raise your energy, and increase consciousness one person at a time.
Awesome. So beautiful. For everyone watching, thank you so much. Remember, this is a way to find your path, get on your path, and most importantly, stay on your path. Let's start focusing on energy. Have a wonderful day.
Intentionally.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.